Hello, Vol Nation. Welcome to another episode of Believe in Tennessee Football. I'm your host, as always, Kyler Ferguson, joined with Reed Bacon. I think I speak for all of us when I say, whew, that was a barn burner. My heart was palpitating for about, let's say 4 hours, which is, what's new at a Tennessee game. We're going to talk all about this, but before we get into that, a little bit of news. Me and Reed are going to be at the Tennessee-Florida game here in 2 weeks. We are going to set up a kind of meet and greet, very relaxed, very chill. We're just going to be outside of the library across pedestrian, set up with a couple chairs and some beer. And if you guys want to come, talk to us, talk football, ask us some questions, and pal around, we'll be there from 1 to 2 p.m. If you don't, cool, don't have to. But we're going to be there and enjoying ourselves, enjoying the sun, and getting ready to whoop up on Florida. If you guys are watching and listening right now, please leave a comment, like, and subscribe to this video. It helps us a lot. If you're just listening, rate and review, download for us. And then you can follow us on social media at Believe in Tennessee for our main account, at rbacon26 for Reed, at Kyler Kerberson for myself. And in this podcast, we're breaking down the offense, telling you guys what's going on, explaining why drives didn't work and why other drives did work on the defensive side. We're explaining why Pitt had success when they did and the great parts about this defense and why they had so much pressure, why we were able to win this game in the end. So we dive deep into all of that, and it's another great pod. So without further ado, let's jump into it.
By the game. Snap. The kick is in the air, and the kick this time is no, sir-ree. No, sir-ree. Final score, Tennessee 20, Florida 17. Pandemonium reigns.
Loads up, fires long for the end zone. The pass is going to be caught by Tennessee. Tennessee wins! Caught by Tennessee to one Jennings. Jennings makes the catch in the end zone on the Hail Mary.
Down at the 35, to the 40, to the 45, to the 50, to the 45, to the 40, to the 35, 30, 25, 20, 15, 10, 5. What did he do? All he did was score. Joey Pitt, touchdown on play number 1.
All right, so before we get into the podcast, we got to shout out our number one sponsor, betonline.ag. You guys know I say it every podcast. It is the place to go for all your betting news and odds and sports, everything. This is the place, okay? With BetOnline, you get the most up-to-date fighting news. You get to bet on MLB games going on right now, NFL. I mean, you can bet on anything, team total wins, division wins, individual players, all of it, okay? So now is the time to sign up. At BetOnline, you can sign up on your mobile device, or you can go online, get a 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. Just use the promo code BELIEVE at checkout. That's BLEAV. And you get that 50% welcome bonus. So listen, y'all, please use that. Please go to BetOnline when you're doing all your sports betting. It makes things a lot more fun and a lot more interesting. And I always love them. They're the place to go. BetOnline. It's where the game starts. All right. Welcome in, everybody. Another exciting podcast ahead. I think I took more notes than I've ever taken before reviewing a game. I think my co-host Reed can speak the same. But dang, was that close. I feel a lot better now that we're through it and we're on to the next week. But let's break everything down before we get into that. First and foremost, Reed, how are we doing, bud?
VOLS VOLS VOL, let's go, Vols, go. Ah! Let's go, baby! Massive win. Massive win. I died laughing at you. You and I text a little bit during these games, sometimes more than others, but I think we know since we're going to talk that we don't as much. I have another group that
I really don't want like any kind of influence before we jump into this.
Right. And so I have another group that I talk with, a bunch of guys, but you did say that you like jumped up and gorilla beat your chest during the middle. And I was like, bro, I literally did the same thing. I forget what happened but I was sitting outside on the porch. My dad and I were just watching it outside, and the countless amount of times that I jumped up and I was like, let's go. Like, come on now. Like, it was ridiculous. I literally had a headache after the game because I was just yelling like a dumbass.
Yeah, and more defensive plays always get you fired up too. So I'm sure sacks, the turnovers.
Well, it could be like 2nd and 4, and if a linebacker just scrapes over the top and makes a good stick, then that gets me fired up. But I was very fired up for this game offensively because I got a little nervous, Kyler. So I'll just start and say I had a great weekend until Sunday around 7:30, and the Titans just, man, not only was that and that's so Titans, man, it's so on brand. But I usually have good gut feelings about Titans. I said, it's on brand for us to lose this. I said, but I still think they will. And then watching the first half of the game, I was a little upset that we didn't capitalize. But, like, my man, Jeffrey Simmons, easily climbing the ranks as one of my favorite players of all time. I just wish I could go back and just come back as a friggin' 6'4", 310-pound defensive tackle. Like, I just want that. I just want to go out there and just gorilla people around. But anyways,
it's pretty fun.
Yeah, I know you got to do it in high school. So, but anyway, so I'm watching the Titans, and besides that, like, I ended up losing probably I had the Titans in probably 3 different bets, so I lost about $120 on the game, which absolutely made it worse.
Yeah.
And then I was like, you know what? Screw the money. Just make the kick, Fat Randy. And he missed it. And so that was brutal. But other than that, it was a good church service. Obviously, a hell of a Titans game. I got to see Matt Seaver, which is one of my good buddies that I hadn't seen in a while. I got to go see his daughter, Nora Reed. Yeah. So, and that was so awesome when I remember him telling me that her middle name was going to be Reed and after me, which was I still think he might have been like, he says he's serious. I think he might be halfway joking, but it was a huge honor. So I got to go meet her for the first time on Saturday, which was great. And then Friday, I want to give a shout out to I kind of just call him my Bible study guys now, even though Jackson Slagle is one of my great friends. He and I were neighbors for the longest time growing up, but him and a guy named Joseph Key have started talking about this podcast. So we went out to lunch on Friday, and they were talking about it, and like they've been listening. I was like, you guys are listening to it? And they're like, yeah. Like, and neither of them are big football guys. Here's the crazy one, though, is Tom Slagle, Jackson's dad, who's great. Obviously, he was my neighbor when I was growing up. Great. And Jackson's like, yeah, Tom listened to it. And I was like, what? I was like, Tom listened? I was like, let's go. So it was a great weekend. You know, like I said, seeing those guys Friday, playing a little golf Friday night or Friday afternoon, and then a huge Tennessee win, and then church, and it's all great until Titans. But hey, you know what? No biggie. How was your weekend? Because I don't even know what the hell you did this weekend.
Yeah, it was good. So Saturday, we still searching for things. We went and picked up new nightstands, and then picked up a clock that my wife wanted, and then got back, watched the game. Just literally, that was all I was paying attention to. Then got to watch Kentucky beat up on Florida. Lock of the week, baby! Lock of the week.
Hey, you called it, and I told you immediately. I said I like where your head's at, Kyler, because Kentucky always does that to them, and
always.
And you could have won that thing money line,
I
but
know.
you were
I would have just taken the money line.
In the golf world. What you had though with the points was a stress-free, easy tap in birdie or par. I mean, it was just a stress-free. Yeah. I mean, because going to that game, I think I don't even know what the line closed at. You probably had them at 8 points or something, and hell, they easily won the game.
Yeah, it was easy. So enjoyed that Saturday night. And then Sunday just did some chores around the house, cleaning up, organizing, switched this around a little bit. So my desk is in a little different place. Still, it will probably change. I have no idea, but who cares about what's behind me? Y'all aren't watching for what's behind me. So, but pretty mellow weekend. Unless there is a trip that I take, I'm trying to have the most mellow weekend I can. Like I very much enjoy turning my brain off on the weekends.
Did you watch Titans?
I did not watch the Titans because I was rewatching the game. So I was like keeping updated scores and stuff when I was doing it. And yeah, it was pretty disappointing. I'll say so.
Yeah, my weekend was all football because after church, I ran some errands, had to go to Edwin Watts, I had to get a new rangefinder. But you know what? My Bushnell, he gave it all he had. I had him for 11 years. And so I finally got to get a new rangefinder.
That's impressive.
I know it was. But then I made it back home. And I could have watched the UT game. I said, no, I want a little nap. But I ended up kind of sleeping, but I was really mainly watching Red Zone. And then woke up to the Titans, watched the Titans, and then basically took a little bit of time off and then came back and rewatched this. And easily the most notes I've ever had. And I'll admit to you, like I stopped taking notes into the second quarter because I had like 4 pages. I was like, I can't keep doing this. Like, I mean, we don't have time to talk. Like, I can't give these people a synopsis of basically of every play.
You're like, I'm killing the trees here.
Seriously. But yeah, so I stayed up last night, did it, and then but anyways, I'm excited to talk. I don't know what your feelings are about this. I actually feel a little bit better after watching the film.
Yes.
But anyways, do you want to
so obviously we're going to go through this entire game. We'll do the offense and then the defense like we did last week, but just brief to talk about Akron so everyone knows what's going on. Listen, there's not much to say.
Hey, actually, I'm so sorry. I just forgot about something. Let me interrupt you before we do this. So, because we're 8 minutes in, next week for Florida. So, Kyler and I and one of my other buddies, like we've said, we already have our tickets. We're going. I think Kyler and I are going to we're not thinking. Excuse me. I was trying to think and talk at the same time. So, Kyler and I are definitely going to the Florida game. We are going to set up. It's going to be the most relaxed nonsense thing. Like, we're not going to have a tent. We're literally bringing 2 chairs. I'm probably going to stop and get some Firehouse subs or some sort of food. We're going to get probably a 6-pack of beer, 12-pack of beer, and 2 chairs. And if you guys want to come by, we would love to meet some of you all. We would love to meet you guys.
Definitely.
Just chat and talk. I can't believe this stuff is coming out of my mouth that people want to meet us for this, but if one person stops by, it'll make my day. And I mean that. I almost feel kind of embarrassed even saying this, but we're going to be. So what we talked about is if you're walking out of the library on the bottom end, and you have if you're watching on YouTube and you walk out of the library, you get pedestrian walkway, the road right here to our left, the stadium to the left. You kind of have McClung Tower. I think that's whatever tower that is that I used to have to go into for your advisory meetings. And then you have Vol Village. We are going to be set up just right in that grass, right in front of the road, basically right across pedestrian walkway from the bottom of the library entrance. I hope that's, you guys know, like, we're not going to have a sign up or anything. Just look for the massive man. Just look for Kyler. You'll see 2 of us sitting there. I'll tweet this stuff out. And yeah, we would love to see you guys.
Yeah. So it's going to be a ton of fun. We are going to tailgate before that, but then we just wanted the opportunity to literally, if anybody just wants to come and talk football with us, we will talk with you for an hour. We're just going to be there from 1 to 2 and we'll just talk and do whatever you guys want. I just wanted to get a chance to meet you all because it's literally so cool that you support us and that you watch and that you listen and that you're like, wow, I actually like their opinions. It's just kind of a very cool thing to hear. So that will be a ton of fun. So anyways, to talk about Akron real quick before we get into Pitt. Listen, Akron last week just lost to Michigan State and their defensive-minded head coach 52-0. I don't see this being very much of a challenge. They haven't had a winning season since 2015. They literally had the worst defense in college football last year. So this is another Ball State game. This is another get some reps for second string guys game. This is all that kind of stuff. Not much of a worry. Maybe some stat padding for some of our guys, getting some, stats on the year. But yeah, that is pretty much it. Okay, so let's jump into this Pitt game. I say we go offense to start, and I think it's better if we go through the game. I think overarching points is going to be kind of hard to not just start talking about the second half. You know what I mean? So let's work our way through the game. Let's start at the beginning. Let's start with our first couple drives and what we saw and why we think those got stalled, because my interpretation of it is just 10 of the 11 guys did the right thing and one guy didn't. And that's all it takes. And I felt like that they were super relaxed versus Ball State, and this is the game that had their jitters. I mean, stupid mid penalties all throughout the game, just whatever was happening with drop balls and overthrows and all that kind of stuff. So to start, literally the first play of the game was a tackle for loss, and we only had 5 on the game total. So it's we really could run the ball whenever we wanted, and our offense was still doing what it needed to do. But that, just get behind the chains, and then you get drops by Cedric, which continued throughout the game. And Hooker just, first 3 out of 4 passes, he's just launching it and just overthrowing guys. He overthrew Jalen on the first third down, which was wide open. Jalen was in man coverage. If he throws it in the right spot, it's a catch for sure. And then the second drive, he overthrows Fant. So it's just calm down a little bit. I know you got jitters. I know we're on the road. I know it's a ranked opponent. It's your first big game of the year, but breathe, bro, breathe. And then, there was miscommunications. There was just miscommunications between O-line and who to block on certain plays. Some tight end protection issues. Fant completely destroyed the third drive by completely whiffing on his blocking assignment, giving up a sack. And then the next play, pass interference by literally just blocking a DB when we're trying to throw the ball. And it's okay, well, what do you want us to do as an offense? That's one guy out of 11 that's messing everything up. That's why football is such a difficult sport. You can't just be LeBron James and just do whatever you want on the court. You have to mesh with everyone else. Now, before we get further into it and start talking about when they ramped it up, do you have anything to add to that first part?
Yes, I do. And here we go. Ooh. So we got Kyler.
You look good, bud.
We got Kyler. We got Kyler Jr. here. I'm ready. All right, we'll see how long this hat lasts, because I just feel like such a doucher when I wear backwards hats. Okay. First off, I have to start here. Thank you to all the fans. Seriously, I get so fucking juiced and so proud. I'm not surprised, but the fans that went there and showed up, awesome. It looked like a bowl game, or we're in an NFL stadium. It's a bowl game because we have just as many fans there or whatever. Yeah. Of course, shocker. I love the all whites. I think we looked clean and fresh. Another shocker. I agree completely with you. I did allow myself to get nervous during this game. And it's so funny that if we had done this podcast after the game and I didn't watch film, which I do think is normal. That's what normal humans do. They just watch a game. And I don't even know how intently you are watching the game. I have gotten less intent because I know I'm going to rewatch it.
Yeah.
And what I mean by that is I'm still like super locked in. But like compared to when I didn't rewatch games, like I was, I wasn't texting, I wasn't doing different stuff, I wasn't fixing food. But now I kind of will watch it, and then because I know I'm going back. But yeah, if we had done this podcast or talking about it later, I would have been like, "What the fuck's going on here?"
Yeah,
but
exactly.
I agree completely with you that it was just one little mistake here, one little mistake there. Like you said, Hendon need to take a deep breath. Everyone saw that. We're not telling those people anything they don't know. You got to hit Jalen when he's open, like all those things. What I would have said to you, Kyler, and I still believe it a little bit, I do think that this team, one thing I think this game did for me overall was that I think we have a pretty high ceiling. I think this team has a high ceiling, but I also think they have a pretty low floor, meaning if we do dumb stuff, we turn the ball over, we, make little mental mistakes, we just don't execute, then I do think that we can allow teams to beat us that maybe shouldn't beat us or to stay in a game.
Mm-hmm.
There was a great victory to do what they did because I personally do think that Pitt is a pretty good team.
Yeah.
I don't know how they're going to finish. I think the ACC's kind of garbage, but I don't know how they'll finish. But like, they're going to play hard. They're going to play physical. They're not going to give you anything. They're going to make you earn it. Like, I even thought I was impressed with the backup quarterback, how he came in and handled himself. I was impressed with Slovis, man, how he stood in there and was taking shots and still dialing up pressure. The other thing about this game is, too, why I got nervous early was because it just seemed like the ball wasn't bouncing our way. I mean, there were legitimately 4 times where we bat the ball, and 2 of them were like, they should have been picked. They weren't even batted balls.
One literally hit Jeremy in the hands as he went up.
Right. And then not only do we not pick it, but the other team catches it and like gets yards out of it. So it's like what's going on here? So that makes me nervous a little bit. Like, I'm that guy that like will watch a game and be like, sometimes today is just not your day.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? And so like I even felt that way with the Titans game yesterday. It was like we're just doing everything we can to give them the game. Yeah. And thank goodness for the Volunteers. Like, we stepped up and made plays when we needed to. But to finish that off is like, I think this team can go out and beat some really good teams and compete with some good teams. But I think if they do some of that dumb stuff where one person's not on line, then yeah, I agree. And
I think it's still pretty. I mean, with all of the mistakes that were going on, we still scored 34 points and beat a ranked team. It's like, this is why everyone's excited about this team, is because the ceiling and the floor, like, this is like close to the floor where we messed up this much and we still won the game.
Right.
Right. That ugly win just kind of like, it's great for teaching points. Everyone's going to go in film. Every single person that won SEC Player of the Week, that is on all the award watch lists because they had big stats. Cedric is going to go in and go, those drops are unacceptable. Hendon's going to go and say those overthrows are unacceptable. Byron Young's going to have plays, even though he's like up for SEC Defensive Lineman of the Week, where he's just going to say, that's unacceptable. Like, I shouldn't have done that. And we'll talk about that stuff later. But like, that is a great win where you have teaching points in there. And it's like, you weren't even close to your best and you still won the game. That makes me feel awesome moving forward, especially since it was versus a ranked opponent, not just a cupcake. This isn't Appy State in 2016. This isn't Georgia Southern or Georgia State or whoever we lost to. It's like, no, this was actually a really good team and we still won.
Well, that's why I tweeted that out. I mean, do you know how incredible it is to be like, after the game, you go, and maybe after you've celebrated with your team and stuff, and you go up and you hug your mom or your dad or your girlfriend, and it's incredible because you can just be like, wow, like, we won, but you're like, damn, I left some out there. Yeah. You know what I mean? damn, like, I'm just putting myself in Cedric's position. I'm like talking to my dad after the game, and I'm like, he's like, great game, great win. It's like, yeah, I had, I'm looking at his stats, 9 receptions, 162 yards, and 1, tutty. But I know for me, when I lay down at night, I'm going to think about is the one I dropped that hit me in the face mask, or maybe one of the big time slants that would have kept a 3rd and 4 going that I need to catch, or like Hendon, 27 to 42, 325 and 2 touchdowns. I mean, if Cedric catches that one deep one, it's 3 touchdowns. But then again, if I'm Hendon, I'm like, well, maybe if I can put the ball on some better spots, my completion percentage is better. Maybe we keep drives going. Maybe you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So at least me personally, as an athlete, that's how I was. Like, I was always thinking, yeah, man, I had 14 tackles, but damn it, I missed 2 tackles in the backfield that would have been TFLs. So like you can, and it's nice because when you win, you can still smile about it and be like, thank goodness we won, but I still want to be better.
Yeah.
Compared to when you lose, it just fucking sucks all the way around.
It sucks. Doesn't matter if you played great. If you lose, it still sucks.
Yeah, it's awful. And you know what? If there's guys that are happy because they played well, even after a loss, those are guys I don't want on my team because that's the most selfish of selfish shit. But yeah, I mean, just to kind of dive in on some of these, or go ahead. Are you going to start talking about some plays offensively?
Yeah, so I was just going to bring up some stuff. I love that we ran draws. I thought those are great, the quarterback draws, especially with Jabari and Jalen being lead blockers in it. I think that's a great wrinkle into our offense. And their defensive line was known to rush. They're known to come. So it was like that was part of the game plan. Like that was good. Some technique stuff, like linemen need to kind of spread their splits a little bit and like make sure and get beat outside so it opens up. I mean, it was tight running lanes for Hendon. I honestly was impressed by Pitt's defense. Like rewatching, I was like, oh, this is man coverage when a play would start. And I would be looking and go, oh, that guy's going to blitz. And they wouldn't, or they'd shift a zone. And I was like, oh, wow, they actually did a very good job disguising things, even from the wide copy. And I'm watching afterwards. It's like a good disguise. So, I'll give it up to Pitt for doing that. I think, there were plays with Jalen Hyatt that it was like, hey, good job. You got that catch and you got the thing. Hey, great route on your attempted touchdown catch. Like, I really thought that was a very good route that he ran and he got open, stepped out of bounds. That stinks. But then at the end of the game and we're trying to drive down the field and he's not even attempting to go for extra yards. He's being very soft and just running out of bounds. I'm like, bro, have you ever seen an NFL wide receiver do that ever? Fight for your yards, do something. A 2nd and 1 is a lot better than a 2nd and 6.
Right.
And it's what's going on?
That's why I tweeted that out about Jalen. And I know people think that we don't like him. I thought he played a fine game, but the way that people talk about him is I mean, yesterday, if I watched that game, I just think he's a pretty fine number 3 receiver. But people have talked about him as if he was going to be the next great receiver at Tennessee.
Yeah.
And I am much more confident in Brew McCoy now than I am Jalen Hyatt because and if you want to go back and watch, it was 3. And the only reason I know this is because I was just watching the 3rd quarter right after work before we started doing this. But I think it was 5:09, and he catches one. And he gets upfield 7-8 yards and kind of does a little pitter patter and then kind of just takes himself out of bounds. And I'm just like, I don't like teams that I root for. And I did not like when I used to play and we would have running backs or receivers take themselves kind of out of bounds like that. Excuse my language, but that's, well, I won't say it, but that I just don't like.
Everyone knows what you want to say.
Yeah. I just don't like that stuff, man. It's I'm not calling someone afraid of contact or whatever, but fight for what you can get. That's what made, not only does that make, the fans love you. That's why people love Jawan and all these other people but that's also just what makes you a great football player. Cause you can take, and what I've been saying for a couple of years now with Heupel's going to get people open, but are you just going to catch it and make 8 yards?
Yeah.
Are you going to catch make two dudes miss and house call it.
Yeah.
So
I think
you know what?
I think that's where we're coming from, where people might not remember or like pay attention to the guys in the past, but like Jalen, I'm comparing you to Juwan Jennings. I'm comparing you to Cordero Patterson. I'm comparing you to Justin Hunter. I'm comparing you to Josh Malone. I'm comparing you to past Tennessee wide receivers. And do you think ever Juwan would do the same stuff that Jalen's did? No.
Never.
He would throw a dude before he would go out of bounds.
But I don't even want to bring up Juwan Jennings because I know people were like, Brew McCoy caught that one on the sideline, which was a heck of a play to catch it, break the tackle, 5 more, and everyone's like, oh, he's got that dog in him. And like, first off, like I think we throw around dog mentality like way too much, like in the way of like comparing him to Juwan. Like, bro, this is his second game here. Like Juwan did it for years and made massive, massive plays.
Mm-hmm.
I get the comparison, but I almost am like tired of it. Like, let's just not. It's a disrespect thing to Juwan, but yeah, I mean, I'm even comparing Jalen to last year, to VJ and to Javonte Payton, and I do think it's going to be very important. I didn't mean to get on this tirade early, but like you can't, as great as Cedric Tillman is, and honestly, I don't fault him a ton for some of the drops. Like I know that touchdown drop was a bummer, but I'm more worried about the drop that was like a 3rd and 4 that hit him in the chest. It was a slant, like to keep a drive going. That's what I'm more worried about than taking a deep shot like that. But listen, dude was targeted 18 times. Like, so you're going to have a couple drops unless you're literally like, you're a great, like, and I'm going to say Larry Fitzgerald because he's a guy that had more tackles than he had drops in his, but that guy's a Hall of Famer. You know what I mean? Like, I'm trying to think of all the receivers that had great hands of like Marvin Harrison, Reggie Wayne, and I'm not, Randy Moss was amazing, one of the best of all time, but I'm talking about like more possession guys that are going to always catch it and not drop it. But yeah, I really don't fault him a ton because you got to catch some of those to keep drives going. But like, bro, he's already putting the team on his back. 18 targets, like he's got to have some help. He's got to have some help. And the one thing is a receiver, and I put myself in that situation, and I even thought about it for Jalen. Like in that point where I was talking about the 5:09 mark in the third quarter, Jalen catches 2 in a row, and then they tried to run an in around to him. I don't love that. 3 plays in a row, like anyone's gonna be a little gassed. So when Cedric has some drops, like it's easy for us to be like, man, you got to catch that ball, but like bro's been out there running his ass off, and like it, that's what makes you great. I get it. So
can someone else help him out?
Right, but but my point is, instead of beating up on him on some of the drops, like no, I need some other guys to help step up a little bit. Let me jump into just a couple of some of these plays. So first drive, great job by the offensive line. Tillman's got to catch, and Hennon's got to settle down, whatever. Okay, second drive, O-line I thought did a nice job.
I thought their protection was great throughout the game. I thought there were 1 or 2 plays where like Spraggins got a little too head heavy.
Yeah.
And, just trying to kill a dude because that's his mentality. Right. And got beat. I think Cooper also did that, but like Mincy and Darnell wasn't even worried. They played great.
I was saying that to a buddy last night. I was like, but you got to think about this. As a matter of fact, this was Saturday night. I said this before I watched the film. And I said, really the only one I don't really have to worry about is Darnell at all. And Mincy, I think Mincy's a fantastic player. You got to keep your hands inside on that one hole, but it happens. But like blocking wise, like I love Jacob, our man, and I thought he had a good game, but he missed a pretty bad one. Princeton missed a couple. Jabari missed one. Hell, they both missed one on the same play. That was a hell of a drive stopper in the third quarter. Yeah. But like, I actually did think that the offensive line, I thought they played, pretty well. And that was one thing early on that like, if I had not gone back and watched the film, I would have been like a little worried about them. But anyway, so on the second drive, second down, I thought Hendon maybe held it a little bit too longer. It's okay. He's fabulous when he steps up in pocket. That guy gets more yards out of nothing. But sometimes it's okay. Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy. But sometimes it's okay to throw it away instead of taking a sack. Mm-hmm. And then the 3rd and 6. Let's see, what was this? Oh, so the 3rd and 6. Third down, they brought 6. Jabari falls. Someone on the O-line didn't pass off, and that's what got Hendon hit. But he still did a hell of a job of getting some stuff out on it. So it was like each one of that you said, and then let's go to the third drive here. Good, hard running by Jalen Wright.
Yes.
If that guy had not had that fumble, it would have been a hell of a game from him. And here's the stat. So he ran 9 for 47 yards. Hendon went 15 for 27, and Jabari went 10 of 17. But like I thought Jalen ran super hard, and it was later in the game, I think second quarter, when we were 2nd and 19.
Yeah, and he got 13 yards.
Well, I think it might have been like 14 or 15 because he and it was all effort. The thing is, I watched it. The line did a pretty good job, but what did you always say? Like the running back has to at least make one guy miss. Mm-hmm. Well, he made his guy miss, but then he also got extra yards by dragging other people. So I thought Jalen ran really hard. I was happy to see that.
I did too. That was one thing I noticed just throughout the game is I wish we would have ran the ball more because I really did not feel like there were plays where, they're blowing up our run. Like, honestly, I think we had maybe 2 tackles for loss on run, and everything else was at least a yard or more, like positive yardage, right. Especially with Jalen.
Yeah. No, agreed. And so this is one of the points I want to make on the third drive when you really need to have it offensively. The one thing that I love about Hype is it's like when he doesn't overcomplicate things. I love thinking about it. Like when you're in Madden and you're playing your buddy and you just don't want to do anything to lose, you have your go-to play. Like, if you all play Madden, it's so funny that we had this league and we all would have these cheese plays is what they're called. Like they're the plays that like kind of always work and you can't really do anything to stop it. And everybody would get so pissed at each other for running the cheesy plays and you would call something out. But that's what Heupel does. Like he doesn't overcomplicate things. He says, I really need this. It's 3rd and 4. We're on the left side of the field, left side of the hash. So guess what? I'm lining my best player, Cedric Tillman, all the way to the right. And if they're going to man coverage, he's a big body. He's going to run a 3-step slant. He's going to run 3 steps and cut in. And don't overcomplicate it. And then it was a good pass. This time he catches it, and it keeps things going. And there was multiple times in the game where I made notes of it that it was 3rd down, and they ran a slant, they ran a comeback, and the other one where they brought him all the way in, they bunched it, and they just did an out route to him. And it was like
that post.
Yes. It was post. It was it was a corner route. It was a corner route.
That was it.
Yeah. And so he just doesn't overcomplicate things. Like he just goes to his Madden cheese plays, and as long as his players execute, it's always there. So that's what I love to see on the third drive. Those are kind of what it was for me for those first couple drives. Like you were saying, I felt it was just one thing here or there, and everyone needs to settle down.
Yeah, that was definitely it. Just settling back. I think even like one-on-one that he threw to Cedric, which was a deep ball, he underthrew it because he was like, I can't overthrow him again. I at least need to give him a chance, and that's why it was incomplete. But dude, I like the adjustment of Heupel, like those Jalen Hyatt plays were literally because of what the defense was doing. It wasn't part of this is the script. I'm going to throw these simple out routes to Jalen Hyatt. No. It's because the outside linebackers were playing 2 ways. They were literally turned and like in a wide stance and looking in at the quarterback to see if it's run, they would take off. If it wasn't run, they'd drop back and get all the underneath routes. So they were playing 2. So I just thought it was great by Heupel to be like, all right, I'm going to put Jalen in the slot. I'm going to have him run a 3-yard or 4-yard out route and get yards on first down every single time. And that's why it worked so well.
And I loved it, but him and Princeton Fant both would catch it and just kind of trickle out of bounds. And that's when I started getting annoyed. I'm like, bro, turn up field.
Yeah.
And I got to say this, when you were talking about Jalen, they brought back the slot shot. And I'll send you pictures so you can post them on here. I have one play. I want you, when we talk defense, I do want you to put the play in here where Trayvon Flowers got the pick. But it was so impressive, and it's all natural, God-given ability of his speed, that when you see these pictures I took, Jalen is man-to-man, and the guy is literally 20 yards off of him.
Yes.
He still gets by him because he runs up, puts his foot in the ground like he's going to turn around and hitch, and that safety, or I don't know if it was a safety playing man-to-man or if it was a corner and they just had him back at safety level, but he sees Jalen kind of do that. All it was a hitch and go, but he sees him hitch up a little bit, and he kind of all it takes is one false step. That's it. And Jalen's by him. So I have the two pictures that when you see just still shots, and you're like, how the does this guy get by him? It was very impressive, and I would have loved to seen him connect. You know, he made a good catch, just couldn't keep his feet in. Maybe Hendon's got to throw it a little bit deeper compared to out, but it was just super impressive, and I was happy to see the slot shot back.
Yeah, I mean, he literally broke down maybe like 15 yards away from that safety, and the safety still like fell for it, and he ran past him. It was crazy.
It was.
Getting into like that scoring drive where it was just touchdown, touchdown, touchdown. That pop pass to Jacob was incredible. Like, that is beautiful.
I loved it. Yes.
And it worked out perfect because their linebackers, as soon as we put a tight end in the backfield to be like the backside blocker, they were teeing off, just going. They like, it's definitely run, and they just freaking go. And that was the perfect play to be like, swoop, sorry. And then, like, I guess we can – so the Jacob pop pass was great. I absolutely love that. We were able to just keep scoring. You know, I thought the next couple drives of, like, there was great pass pro on that touchdown to Brew where he stepped out and then came back in. What a bitch Narduzzi is. Like, dude, it was obvious. He got pushed out. Like, leave it alone. But right. I love that he wasted a timeout. Helped us.
Right.
Then the next drive, touchdown to Cedric. Great pass pro. Like, Hendon had all the time in the world. So, like, those stuff, you know, mentioned it before, but, like, that made me feel great about this offensive line and what they're able to do. And then, like, before the half, you know, there was an offsides on the defense. Cooper snapped it. Then, you know, Spraggins wasn't ready because Cooper snapped it early. So then Spraggins gave up a sack. And then the next play, Coop ducked his head and they got a tackle for loss. So then it was just like, okay, drive's over before the half. Like, you can't, there's nothing, you know, once you have one thing, just pull it down. It's like, you're not going to recover off that. And then before we get into the second half and like explaining all that stuff, I mean, Chase McGrath, like, MVP. Like, that guy played great, kicked when he needed to, did what he needed to do, made his kicks, and it's just like exactly what we need.
Since you're talking about special teams, I'll hit on it really quick. I didn't have a ton of confidence in Chase. It just kind of worries me, but he had absolutely had cojones of steel. I mean, do you know how nervous I would have been with them driving, and if they scored a touchdown, they're winning, you know, say instead of when he made it 27-20, if it was 24-20, I mean, I would have been unbearable. I wouldn't even want to watch. So the fact he did that, the other good about special teams is Jordan Thomas shows up again and just runs down the field blasting people. Not only does that help set a tone and is very important, but it's also super exciting to know, this guy's already showing up as a true freshman. Wait till you see when he gets a chance to play full time. And now he's done it 2 weeks in a row. And then this week we also had James Pierce, who's just a freak of an athlete, who's going to be hopefully a great edge rusher for us. But dude is running down there. And the fact that those guys are bought in, they know that, like, I'm not getting to play as much as maybe I would hope, but I'm still going to make a difference in my in the little bit of time, the little bit of opportunities I have.
Yeah.
So obviously there was some good and bad. I mean, Chase was great. Some of those tackles were good. Jimmy Holiday had a nice return, and then the bad of a block punt that you just can't allow. And I know we'll talk about it here in a second. Another muff punt. I mean, I don't know what it is about people wearing jersey number 1, but VJ did it last year against Ole Miss. Trey Flowers does it this year, and it's just like, what are we doing? Like, and then obviously Titans game, Kyle Phillips does. I'm like, if I see another muff punt, like if I end, like, I'm going to lose it. So, but yeah, I just wanted to give shout outs to those guys, those young guys who are already making a presence in the few opportunities they get. I do want to shout out real quick on the third drive. This was an income. When you were talking about Jacob's pop pass. I liked it because they showed the view from the back angle, and it was a thing of beauty what Jacob did, how he kind of came off like he was going to get a little block, and then and it was also like a really good throw because Hendon kind of had like lead him out to the right a little bit.
And he was getting pressure in his face. He kind of
Right.
like reach over.
Yes. So that was awesome to see from behind. Well, this was another play, and I would love to know. And the reason I'm bringing it up is because I thought the play design was sick. But I wish I would know if I could talk to Hendon, like, hey, did you throw that low, just giving Jacob a chance to go get it if he could, or was you straight throwing that away? Because what it was, if you're watching on YouTube, so we're going to be on the right side. You had Jacob in the slot. You had Cedric outside here, and Cedric just comes off and goes in, just kind of taking people with him and clearing out. And so he's holding his corner in the safety. And Jacob comes out, like he literally comes out here, and it's not an out route. He kind of almost runs it like in a line, diagonal line. So he doesn't run up and cut out. He literally just kind of veers that way, and he turns around, and then he realized, like, I think it's almost like designed to like run, turn around, and then kind of work your way back in, and he did. And it was a sick play design to get a guy who's 6'7" in space, and he's our best receivers clearing out. But Pitt got fortunate that they had called a right defense there, and that's the one where Hendon double clutches and throws it in the ground. And I don't know if he was throwing it low and it went too low, or if he was just getting rid of it. But I
think he was just getting rid of it because the linebacker faked the blitz and dropped back into that area. And, like, if he throws it on that first one, like, if he doesn't double clutch, it's a pick.
Oh, pick, right.
Guaranteed.
Right.
So,
right. Which is a bummer because I love that play design. That the route was just a thing of beauty. It's hard to explain it. It would be easier just to run it or whatever. And I actually drew it out here on my notes so that I would kind of remember. But it was cool how they did it. It was almost like an out.
Yeah, just turn the camera around and do the route in the living room.
So, anyways, it was cool though how Jacob did it and slow played it. But anyways, yeah, we can go ahead and I guess you want to talk offense basically third quarter. I mean,
yeah. So I want to talk offense third quarter because I think a lot of people thought of it as, hey, Heupel didn't make adjustments. Pitt made the adjustments and they were able to stop us, and like it was, that kind of thing. Like not even close. Like Heupel was calling the exact right plays. It's just the execution, the 11 guys and not 10 actually doing what they need to do. So Fant with the MA on the sack, missed assignment, just lets the guy go. Then he commits a penalty on second down. So now we're second and 19, and it's just like, okay, well.
And by the way, I'm jumping in because where he got that penalty was a great play call and design because Brew caught it and had a long way to run. But when I saw the replay, I'm like, Princeton, you have to at least turn around like you're going to catch the ball or run like
that's it.
He literally ran up and started blocking, dude. I'm like, what are we doing here?
Just do this.
Yeah.
Just turn your head and like keep your arm up and just run.
Yeah, because if you get away with it and you run it correctly, it's a sick play design because it's basically a screen with two blockers with one of your best players catching the ball with a head of steam in the open field, 15 yards down the field. But yeah, you got to run it right.
Yeah. So then that drive stalls because of those two plays. And then we punt. They, defense stands up. Then we get the ball back again. What happens? We throw a deep ball to Cedric. It hits him in the face for a touchdown. The next play, there's illegal procedure. There's a penalty. And we're behind the sticks again. And it's just like, okay, now it's just like, now what do you call? What kind of play design you make up for second and forever? Right. So it just ruins the drive. Then block punt. So they get short field. Defense steps up, forces a field goal forces a field goal. The guy misses. We get the ball back. We're moving. Jalen Hyatt's getting those out routes. We're moving down the field. We got good plays going. There's nothing stopping us. The play Jalen Wright fumbles was an 8-yard run. Like it was a good play on third down, and we got the first, and then he fumbles. So then it's like, okay, now short yardage again. Now the defenses step up, force a field goal. So it was just like, oh my goodness, like how we're just shooting ourselves. But then when we needed to, the next drive after that, Brew makes that play where he sheds a guy, gets a first down, continues the thing. We go for it on fourth down. Hendon does a great job looking off the defenders so they're not creeping up like they had been the entire time and taking away those underneath routes, and he completes a pass. So it was just like there was no time where I thought, oh, this offense can't do what it needs to do. It was just literally like, guys, just
execution.
Yeah, just execute. That's it. Hold on to the ball. Just catch the ball. Like that's it. That's all you need to do, and you're going to be fine. There is times when I was watching that, I thought like, have they really practiced the scramble drill where Hendon is forced out of the pocket? He doesn't have anywhere to go. Coverage was good. What are the wide receivers doing? Where are you going? What's your teaching point? Are you coming towards Hendon or are you going away from Hendon? Like, there has to be that, especially with Hendon's skill set. Like, he's not just going to get tackled super easy like a pocket passer. And I just, like, watching replays, watching the thing, like, I just, like, seeing Brew, like, not know what to do. He's kind of like, and Jalen, same thing, like, I mean, the only guy that I saw, which Hendon tried to take a shot in the end zone, was Ramel Keaton. Because he ran his route, saw that Hendon was at, and he goes and just darts up the sideline and is like, let me go get a touchdown maybe. So
I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't know exactly what the Tennessee coaching point is. When I was a receiver and even when I was at Memphis playing defensive back, even there, the rule was still, if you're high and you're deep, you come short. If you're short, you go deep. You're just flopping where you are. Or if he's working right, you work right with him. If he's left, you work left with him. I mean, it's pretty simple stuff.
But I just remember when I was there seeing Dobbs and the wide receivers in practice that. Literally practice that, because Dobbs getting out of the pocket happened all the time.
Right.
It was just like keeping a play alive. So it was like we practice that in practice. So I was like, I want to see more of that.
Do you feel like our offense kind of in a way is just controlled chaos though?
Sometimes, yeah. Sometimes I really do, because of some of the assignments the guys have where like the two wide receivers on one side are just not doing anything.
Yeah.
They're just jogging their routes. Like, it's literally going to Cedric on this side. And it's like, don't waste your energy over there. Like, that kind of stuff makes me like, wait, what? Like, I don't remember that.
The reason I think it's controlled chaos is because, I'm talking about Tennessee. I'm not talking about other teams that run spreads and stuff right now. But I'm thinking like when a team runs a pro style, which you don't really see anymore, or a team that just doesn't go as fast as us, it's like, okay, they're going to run it here. This is different ball, but for the Titans' sake, like, it's like, all right, we're going to, hand it off here, get 3 or 4 yards. You're going to huddle up. You're going to come back. Maybe they run it again, get a first, and then on first down again, they play action. So you kind of get like kind of where it's going in the vibe and what they're trying to build. But with Tennessee, it's just like, here, hut, and then it's like you either throw it and it's caught or it's incomplete, and then they're going again. It's like, da, 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 da. And then it's like, oh, we take a shot and it's a big play, and then you run up and then a missed assignment, so it's a sack, and you're like, what the fuck's going on? Like,
you don't even realize how fast you get to third down sometimes.
Right, yeah, exactly. And we just got a deep. So I feel like I'm sitting there, and in a way, like, it's kind of nice, because if I've said this before, but if a negative play happens, I'm like, it's okay, because hell, the next one we're going to take a shot and probably just score. Like, who cares if it's 2nd and 19? Because if they press man, he's just going to beat him over the top. And so it's just controlled chaos. But what made me nervous at the beginning of this game was that we weren't clicking. And I do feel like it's very important for this team until we continue to get more depth and better players. Not a knock on anybody, but that we do start fast. And so when we did start fast, by the time we got to that third drive, and maybe this will help us transition into the defensive talk unless you have anything else offensively, but like when they're driving down, if Trey Flowers doesn't get that, I'm kind of like, I trust us to score, but like this is still going to be kind of nerve-wracking. But so even when we started to score and then they answered with the hurdle, I'm like, I don't care. I don't care that they just took the lead again because we're in our groove.
Mm-hmm.
But there just feels like there are times like in that third quarter where it's just in chaos. And it's like, I mean, it's just like a chicken with his head cut off.
No, yeah, it literally is chaos. If I had to put anything else, drop slant by Tillman, they talked about like the fact that Hendon like threw it too far out. There was a linebacker underneath. That's the reason why Hendon threw it out there because that was the only place he could throw it. And then I just like that touchdown to Cedric in overtime was great. Adjustment by him. They ran man on the outside, but had the linebackers in the underneath zone, which is what they did a lot because they were expecting those hitches and slants and they were taking them away during the game. And Cedric to just like come back to the ball was very like that was an impressive play. And it's just like, hey, I might have dropped shit, but I'm your man. Like I'm the dog here on this team. Like I'm the one who can step up and make a play when everybody needs to. So love to see that from him. It does gives me confidence moving forward with our offense. Like even though things might have been struggles, even though execution might not have been perfect, like we still get to where we need to go. So,
right. Yeah. And listen, I agree because like I said, when we started scoring early, I felt good about the game. And then I started getting nervous again when I felt like we were shooting ourselves in the foot with drops, block punt, and fumbles and transitions perfectly. This D stood on their head and absolutely played a well of a game. So
it was great. It was fantastic. I'm gonna start from the first and go through the game just like we did with offense. I thought our linebackers, like that first play, Beasley and Banks both hit the running back at the same time, and it was just like a tone setter of like, listen, this ain't gonna be easy for y'all. I absolutely love that. There wasn't like an over pursue of guys. Hey, look at Big O. This game showed me Amari Thomas, the complete Amari Thomas. His effort chasing guys downfield, his push of that offensive line, he was affecting all throughout the game. 2 fumble recoveries. You don't get that without effort. Like you literally don't. So like for him to do that and show me, God, that made me feel good because all offseason, that's what we talked about. Who's going to replace Matthew Butler? Who's going to be the guy to do it? And Big O was like, all right, here's a big game. I'm going to step up. And literally all it was more effort out of him. Yeah. That's all it took.
Yeah, and plus he's very God gifted. He's a big man. He moves well. But like you said, there's nothing that just gets me going when there's a big fella that gives effort. Matter of fact, I'm not trying to hijack your defense. I thought Elijah, when he was in there, was giving some darn good effort.
I did too. He had 1 tackle, and that play was great. He literally fought across a reach block and was able to push guy a yard back and then make the tackle while he's being blocked. Like it was a great play by Elijah. People
want to say bruise a dog. No, Amari Thomas is a dog. Like
yes, definitely. Tamarian is a dog. The fight through that block, he saw it immediately. Great eyes, fight through the block, literally push him into the ball carrier and make the tackle is incredible. That might have been the play I stood up and beat in my chest. Like I was so excited when he did that. The combination of pressure and coverage throughout the entire game was so good. Like, do not let anybody out there say Kamal Haddon can't cover, Warren Burrell can't cover, Tamara McDonald can't cover. Don't let them fucking say that because all of those guys were man-on-man coverage most of the night and did incredible. And the pressure up front, the different blitzes we sent, the crossing of linebackers, the dropping of Byron, the dropping of Ramon while sending Beasley, like all of that stuff went into it. And to combine pressure and coverage, it caused the field goals. It caused every field goal they kicked. It caused the first one, which was huge because we weren't ready to go yet as offense. So it was literally mattered in the game that they only got